Siaya, 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 siaya.
Trent Willis, ILWU Local 10.
And can you talk about the solidarity statement by the Durban dock workers? It seems like they're facing privatization of their port as well as the dock workers here, same struggle.
Well, first of all, I think that is spectacular. And we thank them very much for sending their solidarity here. Of course, we need all of the help we can get facing the insurmountable seeming pressure from billionaires and corporations to take over access of public resources. And yeah, you're right. This is not a Bay Area isolated issue. This is going on all over the world, and really here in the United States, where the system of capitalism makes a takeover like this possible. And you have commissions like this that are set up in a capitalist system to bypass the wishes of the people and to let the minority run business. The minority is billionaires and corporations. They want to run business. They want to make all of the money. They want a poor and rich class. Working people have to stand up and unite against attempts like this to access public resources. It's in particular without the people's permission.
The chair of this commission, Zachary Wasserman, is a development land lawyer who's been working for Fisher. You think that's somewhat of a conflict?
That is absolutely a conflict of interest, and it was pointed out here very eloquently today by you, which was excellent. It's a conflict of interest. There shouldn't be anybody on this board working for the Oakland A's. When you look at all of the comprehensive analyses and the studies, they were all biased and full of misinformation. One of the analysis that they referred to came directly from the Oakland A's. So it's absolutely appalling to me for us to be here even talking about the A's, because this issue is not even about the A's. It's not even about the stadium. It's about access to the public resources. Now, the current land where the stadium is sited right now is land that the owner of the Oakland A's purchased. He owns the land. He can build a stadium right where the stadium is right now. All of these unions in here, directed by the Labor Council, to come in here and talk about jobs and really to talk about jobs for minorities, when the longshore union is the most has the most minorities in it than any union in the Bay Area, pretty much, is saddening and sickening to me to use the minority argument to pretty much transfer wealth from the public to a billionaire who clearly wants to build condos, multi-million-dollar condos. You talk about housing. Who's going to live in those houses? It's not going to be people that look like me. Okay, they're going to be high-priced condominiums, and this is just an effort to further gentrify the already gentrified Oakland area.
And the question of the Democrats, the Democratic mayor, the Democratic Board of City Council, the Democratic Governor, Gavin Newsom, I mean, politically, do working people have a choice?
Well, working people do not have a choice. That's why I'm glad and I'm proud to be a member of the International Longshore and Warehouse Union, and I'm also proud to be a member of SLAP, Schools and Labor Against Privatization, because working people need their own political party. Okay, the Republicans nor the Democrats seem to have working people's best interests in mind. And that's what the Million Worker March was about. It was about organizing in our own name. There has to be a national resurgence of the working people. When you have billionaires and corporations taking over public resources, the only entity that can stop that from happening is working people working together, independent, of all of the side issues, like racism being one of the main ones, divisions of any kind, working together for a common cause. Now, you don't see billionaires and corporations having this kind of stronghold in countries like France, because France has a labor working party that represents working people. Here, that is non-existent. You have two parties that are married to the corporate and billionaire establishment, and the only thing that can stop that is an organized working campaign for working people in this country, period.
I'm Aaron Wright, ILWU Local 10 member, and just heard that the South African dock workers have sent their support for our fight against privatization in the Port of Oakland. We're fighting the A's attempt to take up public land and a key component of the Port of Oakland. My father was a big part of the fight against apartheid and the stopping of working a cargo that was from South Africa in the 1980s. I remember that clearly. And we were thanked by Nelson Mandela when he came here after the ANC had took over. So I have a long history with South Africa and the fight for liberation there, and we appreciate their support now in our fight to keep our valuable natural resources and economy from being privatized and financialized.
And it seems like privatization of ports is a very profitable business going on all over the world. In Durban, they're privatizing the port. I mean, it seems like there needs to be an international campaign to say we need the ports as transportation centers.
Well, it's if you don't live on the port, you don't realize its importance. And so then it's hard to get the support. But, there are laws that were written, these commissions were put in place for exactly this reason, that the port land, seashore land is extremely valuable. You go to a lake, everyone wants to live on the shore of the lake, right? So you have to protect these resources. You can't replace them. They're extremely valuable, and they will be coveted by powerful interests. And if you let them, they'll take it. They'll take it from you.
And at this hearing today, it seems like they don't have answers. The port management don't have answers to the questions that are being asked here. I mean, just simple questions like what's your forecast and whether or not they have to increase the land use for port development.
I personally think that they're compromised to the hilt, that they're clearly working in tandem with the A's. We know that Libby Schaaf has been an extreme proponent and champion for the A's and John Fisher, and she appoints the staff, and the port director was appointed by her, and I believe his job is connected to this project succeeding, which is why he campaigned so hard at the last meeting for it. I think when they lost the Seaport Advisory Committee's recommendation, they really came down on him hard, and they wanted his head. They said, this is your fault, and you better go in and perform for us next time. And he did. I mean, he's here pushing for the A's and taking out seaport use. He's arguing that our part, it won't grow. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you take Howard Terminal out, you don't enlarge the turning circle, we're not going to keep up. When the next class of ships come, they won't be able to come here. They'll just pass us by. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If we don't ensure that the turning circle is enlarged, if we don't have grade separations that allow the trains to run unimpeded, the port will die. It'll be choked off. There'll still be some port, but Libby Schaaf herself has said they can move to Outer Harbor. So it's clear it's not important to her to keep it.
Moving to Outer Harbor, I mean, they talked here.
It's not even possible.
They talked here about some open space in Pleasanton, for the port. What do you think about
Well,
that?
Outer Harbor is one part of Oakland Port. It needs a lot of work to be to the standard that we need. But yeah, I mean,
Going to Pleasanton, I mean, it seems like, is that an answer to where you need more land?
currently, if you look, you go to Howard Terminal today. There's a line of trucks. Right now, I can almost guarantee you that there's a line of trucks a mile long trying to get into Howard Terminal. There's 5,000 containers. I mean, it's completely full of containers, trucks, and chassis right now. Right now, we're using it. We have been using it for years. 300,000 trucks that go in and out of Howard Terminal yearly, and what they do is they stage cargo there, which allows them to come pick it up and take it out of the area in off-peak hours. If we don't have Howard Terminal, these trucks are going to come out of the terminals and they're going to go right onto the roads in rush hour. It's going to be a mess. It's not going to be efficient or green, you name it.
And what do you think of this idea of having Zachary Wasserman, who is a development land lawyer for John Fisher, the developer, the billionaire owner of the A's and the GAP, actually shepherding this thing along in this commission, which is supposed to be here to protect the port land?
Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen how he votes. Won't be surprised if he votes to take it out of seaport use, if he gets a vote.
I mean, do you think the commission should even be handling this, considering the conflicts of interest?
I mean, my honest opinion on this thing is that there's so many conflicts of interest up and down the political chain, from the city councilmen, the mayors, the Rob Bontas, the Nancy Skinners, the Buffy Wickses, the Gavin Newsom. I mean, they're all in bed with the rich and powerful. It's been apparent. It's like, I try to be hopeful, but we know the rich and powerful. We've seen it. I mean, they're richer than they ever been in history. The wealth disparity in this country is equivalent to the time of the pharaohs, beyond robber baron times, right? They've looted our country. It's a great smash and grab, and they'll continue to do it as long as we don't put up any resistance. I don't have a whole lot of faith in this.
And it seems like the same is going on in South Africa, the corruption, the looting, the privatization. Worldwide.
It's a worldwide thing. Yeah, it's a globalization thing. That's where the entire, they're working together, and that was clear during the pandemic. Their response to the pandemic was one of complete lockdown. It was worldwide martial law, and that can only happen if you work together.
And now they're supporting the war. They want to. Barbara Lee supported $50 billion to more war weapons. I mean, it sounds like a lot of people can make a lot of profit in the military industry.
Once again, we spend more than half of our budget on military my entire life, and it's just it's a theft of the resources of the world. I mean, if you're against climate change, you should be against the Pentagon. They're the #1 polluter in the world, But they want us to curb our pollution, but it's crazy.
And they want to spend $800 million, $1 billion of public money, local, state, federal taxes for John Fisher's development project. At the same time, you're a member of SLAP. They're trying to close down schools, 11 schools in Oakland in the black and brown working class community. I mean, how is that?
It's abhorrent. How is, the children are your future, right? Educating your empire, your country, it relies on the next generation coming up to be educated, and in this society, highly technical, it's more important than ever. But, it doesn't appear that they're too concerned. Maybe they got robots coming with AI, and they're not too concerned about the next generation. That's for sure.
Well, Libby Schaaf is supporting the school board shutdown of the schools, so
right.
I guess the schools have less priority than John Fisher's stadium.
Oh, that's obvious. That's how she's acted this whole time. I mean, you're going to close 12 public schools and spend $1 billion. Right now, the price tag's $1.355 billion, and they could build in the Coliseum. Like, we could keep all the jobs. It would be a fraction of the cost. you know, but the A's want it all. They want 200.
It's not the A's. It's John Fisher.
Yeah, John Fisher, yeah. And the A's, they want it all. They want the 200 acres of prime real estate and over $1 billion of taxpayer funds. It's unconscionable. It needs to be fought on every level by everyone. And if we get this on the ballot, you know, come out and vote no. No on the A's, for sure. They can stay in the Coliseum if they want, and you could build a world-class stadium and a world-class hotel, convention center. There's plenty of space to do it. But this idea that they're going to bring some huge benefit to the economy, I mean, if you look at the Coliseum right now, they've actually pushed all the businesses in the area out. It's become a wasteland out there. You know, they haven't helped the East Oakland economy.
And Wasserman is the attorney who was making that negotiation with the city of Oakland and Alameda County for the takeover of the state.
That was news. That was news to me. I mean, I don't know who these people are so much, but it doesn't surprise me. And it's, again, I mean, it speaks for itself, right?
Siaya, 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 epito, siaya, siaya, epito, siaya, siaya, epito, siaya, siaya, epito, siaya, siaya, telumalane, siaya, siaya, telutitle, siaya, siaya, teluso.